Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Ay? Di po ba nag-play?
Nag-play po, sir.
Okay. That in all things, God may be glorified. Okay, so let us start our class. So before that, I'll show you a video for a teaser of our topic.
Nearly every society in the world faces the same fundamental problem: how to distribute limited resources to people in a way that will be fair and effective. This is what is called scarcity, and different societies approach this problem in different ways. There are 4 essential types of economic systems. The traditional economy is based on culture and rituals, and is focused on the community as a whole. Everyone pitches in and benefits from everyone else's efforts. Small societies focused on subsistence farming and hunting are considered traditional economies. An example would be a traditional Inuit village in North America. A command economy relies on the government to make all economic decisions, including allocating and distributing resources and regulating prices and wages. A modern example of a command economy would be North Korea. A market economy is driven by consumers whose decisions determine how the industries and financial markets will operate. Individuals choose how their resources are used, what goods to make, what services to provide, and what jobs to take. In a pure market economy, there is no government involvement. Because of this, there are no true pure market economies. Most societies today have mixed economies, which utilize limited government involvement while also applying free market concepts. One example would be the United States. However, nearly all other countries are some form of mixed economy as well. Each is unique and faces the challenge of finding proper balance between consumer choices and government control.
Okay, so our topic for today is about the Philippine economy and its 21st century socio-economic challenges. So our quotation of the day, motivation, is from Dawn, The Economy in Focus. It's actually a newspaper in Pakistan. And according to it, everyone wants to see the economy improve. But more importantly, everyone wants to feel that improvement in their day-to-day lives. I think we have to agree with the sentiments, this opinion, and the statement itself. So learning competencies, we have to identify the different economic systems, which we already showed partially. Number 2, explain the 3 primary macroeconomic goals of a country. Number 3, explain how applied economics can be used to solve the country's economic problems. And number 4, understand the opportunities and challenges given the country's current economic state. So what are economic systems? Do you have any idea based from the video that I have shown to you a while ago? Mr. Alcala, do you have any idea what are economic systems?
Hello po, sir.
Yes, I hear you.
Yes. I don't have any ideas po as of the moment.
Okay, so we already shown a while ago what are economic systems, but here it is. So it is a means by which societies or governments organize and distribute available resources, services, and goods across a geographic region or country. Without these economic systems, you will not be able to purchase whatever you want, whether it's from Shopee, Lazada, SM, from the ukay-ukay, or even avail some services, let's say for a CPA or a doctor. Because, as we already discussed a while ago previously, resources are finite and there is that scarcity of resources. Also, economic systems regulate the factors of production, as discussed last meeting. Remember yung Powerpuff Girls? So we have the land, capital, labor, and the physical resources. Notwithstanding the entrepreneurship aspect. Okay. And lastly, it encompasses many institutions, agencies, entities, and decision-making processes and patterns of consumption that comprise the economic structure of a given community. So lahat po ng mga nangyayari po sa ating kapaligiran, meron pong contribution ang ating economic system. I will be bold to say that economic systems is everything. And what are the types? As already shown in the video, napakita ko lang po ulit. First and foremost, we have the free market economy. Ano po ba yung free market economy? Ito po ba yung libreng palengke? No. We will discuss later. The centralized economy, the mixed economy, and last but not the least, the traditional economy. These four are the most prevalent amongst the economic systems that exist in this beautiful planet. Does anyone have an idea kung ano yung market economy? For those who have read the book, let's say, Mr. Trinidad, what is a free market economy? Just to...
For me po, a free market economy po is wherein yung different aspects niya po, such as yung prices po, is more on determined po by the consumers or customers po, instead po sa pagsunod po, or yung nagde-determine po is yung government, more on sa consumers or customers.
Consumers. Okay, so let's see. It is characterized by competition, intense, not necessarily enemy mo, competitor mo lang. Let's say Jollibee has McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Wendy's, and so forth. And most businesses have that high level of private ownership. Bihirang-bihira po yung ating government na di-interfere sa free market. Also, the prices are set by market mechanism. So, wala pong intervention masyado si government, as mentioned by Mr. Trinidad, or by the interactions of buyers and sellers. Sila po yung may dynamic. As for legal terms, they are the parties involved sa ating free market economy. Wala na pong iba pa. Either you are a buyer or a seller of a specific good or service. Again, the resources are allocated freely based on the interaction nitong dalawa pa rin. The government maintains a hands-off role. It's also known as the laissez-faire, or French. It's a French for leave alone. So hindi po masyadong nakikialam ang gobyerno sa ating mga government, sa ating mga business transactions. And it has minimal involvement in achieving economic goals. One of the best examples, wala naman po talagang free market economy, but the closest to the perfection. One of which is, diba? Can anyone guess kung anong bansa to? Ms. Bonifacio, what country is this by the picture? I think you have an idea naman. So this is Singapore. And another is New Zealand. Malapit-lapit na sila doon sa katotohanan ng free market economy. Now, for the centralized economy, these first two economic systems are the extremes. No? Kumbaga 100 and 100%. Absolute. So for the centralized, ito po yung nabanggit kanina sa video na command economy. Again, it is an extreme economic system characterized by the heavy involvement of a centralized authority. No? So kabaliktaran naman po siya, whereas the first one, the government does not interfere. No? Wala pong pakialam ang gobyerno. This time around, no, fully intervening ang gobyerno in managing the economy. Individuals have no or limited, if ever, economic freedom, and private ownership is very limited. So here are the countries that utilize. The most famous example being North Korea. And another, pinakamalaking nag-implement, pinakamalaking country na nag-implement ever is, Kim Jong-un, the Soviet Union. This is what the current modern-day Russia also aspires to be. Gusto nilang ibalik dun sa nakaraan. The golden age. How about mixed economy? What do you think is the mixed economy? Wala. Nabanggit na natin kanina yung free market economy and the centralized economy. How about the mixed economy? What do you think? Yes, yes. Miss Laika, Anggaray.
Your mixed economy po is siya po yung system na nagpo-combines po, especially yung limited government involvement po, while also applying the free market concept po.
Yes, take it in moderation. Take a few aspects of the command economy and some aspect of the free market. Kasi sometimes perfection cannot really be achieved. It's absolute. So just water it down a little. So for the mixed economy, it combines both. Wait. Yeah. Which determines, ito yung 3 questions naman po lagi, what to produce. Ano ba ipoproduce natin? Hindi naman po tayo magpo-produce. We will not produce something for nothing. Wala pong usage. How to produce it? And for whom to produce? Sino ba makikinabang doon sa ating ipinoproduce? Gaano po kadali or gaano kahirap i-produce? Next. Gitna lang po. There is a balance between private and government. Remember the scales of Lady Justice last meeting? Gitna po. You have the private and government. Merong limit na the government should intervene, and there is a limit that the government should not intervene in order to achieve your economic goals. Pag masyado po kasing mahigpit, if you will remember our organization and management on the topic of controlling, if you are too tight, nothing will happen. If you are too loose, nothing will also happen. So saktong-sakto lang po. And almost all, sana all, have this type of economic system. The best example, wala pa. Yeah. So government intervention includes the power to impose taxes. So lahat po ng mga nangyayari sa ating buhay, taxes, trade limits, and restrictions, and legislations happen in the mixed economy. Because you still need some government intervention in one way or another. Ayan, So may kapangyarihan pa rin pong mag-implement ang government ng kung ano man ang gusto nila. To promote business, at the same time, impose. Remember regulation? Sa ating ABM 1, that can impose sanction to penalize industries. In return, the government must provide the services to the public. It is the government's noblesse oblige. Ayan, pinakasikat na example ng mixed economy is America. But many more, halos lahat po ng countries ay nasa mixed economy. And lastly, how about the traditional economy? What can you say about the traditional economy? Please enlighten the class. Ms. Pore, what do you think of the traditional economy?
Hello, sir. Rinig po.
Yes, loud and clear, ma'am.
A traditional economic system is based on customs, law, history, and time-honored beliefs po.
Yan, So ito yung alam natin na sistema ng ekonomiya nung sinaunang panahon. However, there are still countries that implement this type of economy. Yeah, no? So, development of distribution of goods and services are determined by customs. No? Let's say, mga dowry natin, di ba? In the past, when there was still no money, I discussed in the upper economic subjects, people pay using animals like cows, pigs, chickens, traditions, and time-honored beliefs. Barter system minsan. And yung first three types of economic systems, they actually evolved from this traditional. Ito yung pinaka-ugat. The beginning, the foundation of all economic systems. Yeah, so this one is, of course, you already know, no? It's time for Africa, diba? So Africa has the most implemented version of the traditional system. And even here, no, sa ating bansa, meron pa rin pong nag-implement ng traditional system. Hindi nga lang po buong Pilipinas. Now, I would like to ask a question. How will you describe the economic system of the Philippines? Is it effective in achieving the country's goals? Discuss your thoughts about this. Sorry. Can someone share their thoughts? No? Ano ba masasabi niyo sa economic system ng Pilipinas? Mr. Pinto, what do you think of the Philippine economy? Economic systems. Okay, so
Sir.
Yeah.
Our economy po is a mixed economy.
Yeah, no, mixed economy. Is it effective? Effective ba yung mixed economy sa Pilipinas? Or medyo meh, di ba?
Yes naman po, para sa akin.
Yes, no? So, again, that is, depende sa economists or even tayo sa mga ordinaryong mamamayan, no? It depends on us. So, I think most of us will agree with what Mr. Pinto said, no? That the Philippines is a form of a mixed economy. And I think for much of the majority of its existence, from 1946 onwards, effective naman po ang ating mixed economic system. Okay? So for the others, you can do this in your assignment. Ayan po yung mga major questions. We also have it on the book, but I just want to show it to you. May konting differences lang po, but yan, what will be produced? Ano ba yung mga pangangailangan ng bawat economic systems? Paano ba yung ipoproduce? How much will be produced? Sino magde-determine nun? And who will buy it? So these are the three basic economic questions that each economic system must face. If they cannot face it, then those types of economic systems will cease to exist. Okay. Now, nabanggit natin yung macroeconomics, last meeting. It's about yung pangkalahatan, the aggregate. And for the macroeconomic goals of a country, ito yun, ito yung mga goals na yan. Economic growth, business cycles, full employment, and price stability. I think just looking at these words, even without reading the book, you have an idea naman po what are these words pertaining to. Okay. Wala yung aking wheel of names, so I'll just call someone. Ms. Monte, what do you think is the definition of economic growth? Ano ba yung economic growth? Kahit kalimutan na natin economic, just the growth term. Yes, Ms. Fore.
Sir, for me, it can define as the increase or improvement in the inflation-adjusted market value of the goods and services produced by the economy over the time po.
Yan, kompleto, no? But yeah, no? So let's discuss yung mga business cycles later. I think some of you have an idea kung ano naman yung full employment and the price stability. So let's focus on the top goal ng isang bansa, which is economic growth. So ito yung, if you will remember, in our ABM 1, we have the financial statements wherein the statement of comprehensive income shows the financial health of a company or entity. Here in this case, we have the GDP. It is the total monetary or market value of all finished goods or services produced within a country's borders. So dito lang sa Pilipinas in a specific time period. In short, ito po yung financial health ng bansa. Okay ba yung GDP ng Pilipinas? Last year, ay noong 2020, hindi po. But last year, we have improved. Yan, no? So it also functions as a comprehensive scorecard. So I'm not sure, no, kayo mga bata pa kayo, so you do not have your usual laboratory checkup. No? Pero kami mga may edad na, we have our checkup. No? Mataas ba yung FBS namin, SPGT, no? Yung to the echo. Doon namin malalaman, no? Yung scorecard namin sa health. And in this case, ganun din po sa ating economic group. No? Kamusta naman yung ating manufacturing sector? Kamusta yung ating services sector? No? And so forth. No? Imports, exports, and more. Yan, no? Output. No? Yung production mo ang habol, hindi yung pumapasok sa bansa. Now, what do you think is a business cycle? No? Does anyone have an idea? Ano po ba yung business cycle na yan? How about Mr. Orsine? What do you think is a business cycle?
Hello po, sir. Ano
Yeah.
po? It is the alternating phases of the business cycle.
Oh. So, yun na yun. Sorry, yun na yun, Mr. Orsine.
The alternating phases of the business cycle are expansions and contraction, also called recessions po.
Ayun, no? Okay. No? If you will notice, no, hindi naman po lagi tayong going up. No? So, yun yung nabanggit ni Mr. Orsine. No? Okay, thank you. So, ang business cycle, no, is either you have the upswing, aangat ka, or bababa. No? In the broad measures of economic activity. No? At maraming factors kaya umaangat at bumababa. No? Hindi po spaghetti. No? You have the output, employment, income, and sales. No? Pwedeng mataas yung employment mo, pero mababa yung income, sales, and output. No? Hindi naman po kailangan lahat silang apat ay matataas lahat. No? Pwede yung isang medyo bumaba, but overall, there is an upswing. Or pag talagang sabihin na nating matumal yung economy, it goes down. No? Like now, we are experiencing the price hike on gasoline. No? Of course, people are hesitant to spend their money, and we experience a downswing. Okay, so as mentioned by Mr. Orsine, we have expansions and contractions, or also known as recessions. Yeah, no? So ito po yung kinakarakterize ng binanggit ni Sir Orsine. You have the peak and then the toro, no? Yung pinakamababang point, the lowest limit. And then pag nag-expand na naman siya, it's again the road to recovery. Recession and expansion. Can someone define to me or to the class what is a recession? No? We always hear the word recession, but what is its meaning? Yes, Ms. Casey Cruz?
Recession po is the downward trend while the expansion po is the upward.
Yes. Yun yung pinaka general definition ng ating recession and expansion. But yan, downward trend. No? Pero yung duration kasi, kaya siya tinatawag talagang recession. No? Dito tayo nagkakaroon ng problems. No? Usually, it's either a few months or worse, a few years. No? It's normally visible sa ating real GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and sa sales. No? As mentioned, no, na it was your asynchronous activity to identify the real GDP. No? Ano po yung real GDP? And then, sa expansion naman, no, alam na natin yan, increase in production and employment. No? Para sa ekonomiya nga yung sinasabi. No? So, ibig sabihin, pag nag-upswing, tataas yung mga income, no? Tataas yung gastos because maraming pera no? For households and businesses. No? If you will remember the French catchphrase, no? Let the good times roll. No? Yun po yun. No? It is the time for expansion. We discussed previously the production possibilities factor. And in this aspect, no, ito pa rin po yun, no? There must be economic growth. If your production possibilities factor is expanding, no, to the right, no? Pag nag-expand to, no, let's say from this to this, there is stage of economic growth. Yan. And last, what do you think is the definition of full employment? Ano po ba yung understanding natin sa topic na ito? Okay. Yes, who's raising her hand? Yes, Ms. More?
Sir, full employment is an economic situation in which all available labor resources are being used in the most efficient way possible.
Okay, no? Yeah. So let's see. Ayan, no? So lahat, no? Labor resources. So sino ba nagpo-provide ng labor resources? Tayo po, no? Tayo mga citizens, no? Tayo mga tao. It embodies the highest amount of skilled and unskilled labor that can be employed, no? It's an idea, no? An ideal na yung full employment, if ever lahat ng pwedeng magtrabaho ay employed, no? That can be employed within an economy at any given time. Yan, no? Ideal nga. In which everyone or anyone who is willing and able to work can find a job and there is zero unemployment. No? So sana all walang bakante sa trabaho. No? Lahat po tayo may trabaho. No? Kasi mahirap din po pag walang trabaho. What is inflation? No? Before we proceed to deflation, what is inflation? Ms. Barroso, what is inflation? Nahiya sila. I already called you. I will call others. How about Ms. Baklig? What is inflation?
Hello, sir. Rinig po ako.
Yes, loud and clear, ma'am.
The rate of increase in prices over a given period of time po.
Yes, no? The rate of increase in prices. No? So let's say bumili ka ng gasolina, no? Nagpagas ka. Nung last week, 60 lang. Ngayon, 75 na. No? There's already an inflation occurring. So deflation is the reverse or the opposite of what is inflation. The key word here is continuous. Kasi nangyayari, no, sa gas natin, kung sa gasolina, nagkakaroon ng rollback. No? Pero babawiin din yan next week, tataas din. Hindi, parang wala lang. No? But if let's say the gasoline prices here in the Philippines goes down to even further, no? Let's say from 76 naging 65 na lang, no? Tuloy-tuloy tapos hanggang naging 50, then there is deflation. No? It is usually associated with a contraction in the supply of money and credit. Or pag sobra naman dami ng presyo, no? Ay ang dami naman ng supply, no? Pag masyadong there is an increased productivity and technological improvements. Let's say mas marami ng kotse na electric cars, no? Compared to ones that are using diesel and gasoline. So syempre, bababa po yung demand, the price will continuously go down until maging technically worthless ang ating crudo. And last but not the least, one of the main macroeconomic goals ng isang bansa is the price is stability. What is stability? People always seek for stability, no? Kahit naman po tayo, financial stability, no? But what is price stability? Okay, mali ako na nakita. Price stability. Mr. Salonga, no? Ano po ba yung general understanding natin ng price stability? Salonga? Salonga 1? Yes, Ms. Natividad?
An economic situation in which all available labor resources are being used in the most efficient way possible.
Okay. So for price stability, yan, no? Kumbaga, gamit na gamit mo yung resources, no? Remember yung ating organization and management, efficiency and effectiveness, no? So kailangan efficient ang pagkaka-utilize mo ng mga resources, no? Walang, as much as possible, wala po tayong wastage, wala po tayong sinasayang sa resources, no? It embodies the highest amount of skill. Mali na po yan. no? Yung domestic currency retains its purchasing power, no? Ganun pa rin po, no? As much as possible throughout the year, yun pa rin po yung presyo ng ating mga commodities. No? Minimal changes. Now, for the state of the Philippine economy, before we proceed, no, can someone tell me ano ba yung mga usual problems ng Pilipinas ngayon in terms of lahat ng mga current events natin? Ano ba yung mga nararanasan natin sa araw-araw na problema? No? What do you think are the problems that the Philippines face? Yes, Mr. Orsine?
Currently po, sir, nagtataasan po yung prices, especially po sa gas.
Yes, so napakataas ng presyo. At pag tumaas ang presyo ng ating gasoline, damay-damay po lahat. No? Yun po yung sad reality. No? Mataas ang presyo ng tinapay, no? Mataas ang presyo ng pagkain, no? Mga produkto, because they all use gas, no? Transportation logistics. Yan po isa sa main problems natin ngayon. But overall, ito po yung mga problems. Okay, no? Medyo, ito yung picture, no? But they are currently the sitting president and vice president ng Pilipinas up until May 2022, no? May 9. Officially, sa June 30, magpapalit po tayo ng presidente. Okay? So, our president is President Rodrigo Duterte, no? Former mayor of Davao City. And our vice president is Maria Leonor, no? Lenny Robredo, no? Former congressman of Naga City. Screen. Okay. Kita po ba, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes po, sir.
Ayan, no? So ito yung mga latest figures, no? From the very start of 2016. So yan. So noong 2021, nakabawi naman po tayo, no? At 5.7%. Okay. Which is good news naman, no? Despite this one. And according to forecasts, the Philippines is expected to deliver 7 to even 9% growth. No? So magandang ano yan, no? Magandang forecast yan. And hopefully, no, umabot naman tayo ng 9. But 7 is already a good news. So although recent history shows that the election-related spending tends to bolster growth momentum, no? They are attributing this economic growth due to the 2022 election campaign. No? We can highlight certain developments that will force us to tone down expectations for this year. Pero most likely, sure na yung 7. No? If ever. Now, reflect upon. I would like you to answer this in your assignment. No? Think about it. Based on your opinion, experience, or personal sentiment, do you agree with the generally positive outlook for the Philippine economy, especially for 2022? Why or why not? Wala naman pong tama or maling sagot yan because it's your own opinion, it's your own experience, and your own sentiment. I would like to know your insights about this matter. Thank you. Okay. So these ones are data from the book, huh? The gross national income and GDP by expenditure share. No? So I'll just show it to you because you can check it on your asynchronous activity. So you have here the gross domestic product until 2018 because it's not updated. And the Philippines Consumer Price Index, again, I cannot find the values or data for 2019 onwards, but this will do. Okay, so the CPI is an indicator to measure economic performance. No? Isa rin po siya. So CPI measures the prices of goods and consequently measures the purchasing power of consumers. So parang, in a way, no, lumiliit. No? The prices are stable and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has been keeping the inflation in check. No? Minimal po yung galaw. No? At paano po naman natin nasabi na minimal ang galaw, sir? Tumataas yung presyo ng bilihin natin, di ba? It's because there are four main types. You have the creeping, the walking, the galloping inflation wherein prices rise by 10%, and last but not least, the hyperinflation wherein prices rise up to greater than 50% a month. So right now, ano sa tingin niyo yung inflation na nararanasan ng Pilipinas for the past few years? I'm curious to know your insights. No? Ms. Gonzalez, which of the four do you think is the inflation that the Philippines is currently experiencing? Hello? Hello po. Okay. No? Ano ba sa tingin niyo yung nararanasang inflation ng Pilipinas? No? Mr. Gomez, Chester. Dito lang sa apat.
Hyperinflation po.
Sorry?
Hyperinflation po.
Hyperinflation. Anyone else? What do you think is the inflation ng Pilipinas? No? Ano ba yung nararanasan ng Pilipinas ngayon? Inflation. How about Diana?
Sir, same din po kay Gomez, yung hyperinflation po.
Hyper. Hyper ba?
Yes po.
Okay. No? Okay. Let's try one last student. Ms. Reynoso, what do you think is the inflation? No? Ano ba yung nararanasan nating inflation ngayon? Is it creeping, walking, galloping, or hyperinflation? No? How about Mr. Pueblo? No? Alin dito sa apat na to ang inflation ng Pilipinas? Before we move on to the next slide.
For me po, sir, hyper.
Hyper. No? So we have 3 votes of hyper. No? Okay, let's see. Let's see. Tan 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 tan. Tan 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 tan. Okay. No? So the answer is, well, naglalaro po tayo dun sa creeping and walking. No? So either magnanakaw ka, no, or zombie ka, no? So yun po yung nararanasan ng Pilipinas. Yung hyperinflation, no, balikan natin si hyperinflation. Remember the case dun sa Venezuela, no? Yung status ng kanilang economy, yun po yung tinatawag natin na hyperinflation, no? Kasi let's say ang hyperinflation, no, pag nangyari sa Pilipinas, let's say ang jeep, no, pamasahe sa jeep 9 pesos, no? At the end of the month magiging 20 pesos, no? And then next month 30 pesos, 40 pesos, 50 pesos, and so on and so forth. Yun po yung hyperinflation. Our economic managers are doing their best, no? Tumaas lang po ng 2018 due to the train law. And yung 2021 kasi due to the effects of the pandemic. But the government is trying to keep it in check. Na hindi siya lumampas ng 7%, which is malaking-malaki na po yun. So let's see what will happen this year, 2022. Historically, the Philippines inflation, no, highest inflation actually happened in 1991 during the Cory Aquino administration. So you can check the source, no, statista.com. But all throughout, no, nagkakaroon tayo ng short burst ng matataas, but nothing extreme, no? 12.23 also happened in 1989 under the Cory Aquino administration. 10.37 under the Ramos administration. Yung 9.25 naman, it's during the time of the Asian economic crisis. And ganun din po si 9.31. So generally, nandyan lang po siya naglalaro. 3 to 6%. Okay? So as the forecast, as you can see in the forecast, 2022 to 2026, stable na po tayo sa creeping inflation, which is 3% or less. No? So hopefully, no, yun po yung mangyari. Now, for the Philippines employment rate, as you can see, no, malaki po yung gap. No? Employment rate is 82%, no? Noong 2020. No? Kasagsagan po ng ECQ, 17.6% of the able people. No? Yung pwede naman magtrabaho ay unemployed. But pagdating ng July, nag-stable ulit, no? Bumaba ulit. March 2021, bumaba ulit ng 7.1. And the data provided by the Philippine Statistics Authority, no, yung latest is yung November 21, bumaba na po. No? The ideal unemployment rate is around maximum of 5%. So, malaki pa yung hahabulin natin for the unemployment rate. So, you have here the unemployed rate. But how about the underemployed? No? 18.9%. And now, 16.7% of the people are underemployed. Can someone tell me, ano ba yung underemployed? Sorry. No? What is underemployment? Sa pagkakaintindi nyo lang or understanding. Miss Santos? Nandiyan ba siya? Wala yata. Okay. How about Miss San Juan? What is underemployment? San Juan? Two recipients raise their hand. Wait lang po. Okay. Paunahin naman natin si Mr. Trinidad. Yes, what is underemployment?
Sir, for me po yung underemployed po is if yung employee po or yung tao po is hindi po na-maximize yung full potential niya or skills po sa isang specific job.
Yes, no? Kunwari, pwede na siya magtrabaho as a manager. No? Pero until now, nandun pa rin siya sa rank and file. No? Naiwan siya. Yun po yung underemployed or overqualified, no? In some cases. Hindi namin kaya yung position mo. Bababa ka na lang namin. Now, ang hindi na i-reflect nitong statistics na to is yung bagong trend which happened during the pandemic, which is the overemployed. No? Overemployment naman. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga tao na more than one ang trabaho. No? Yun po. Sila po yun. No? These are people who are working sometimes 2 jobs at the same time. 3 jobs, 4 jobs. Yun po yung bagong trend. No? You can search or research about the overemployment. Usually, uso po yung overemployment sa IT. Now, for our exchange rate, no, na-discuss din siya sa ating book. No? The exchange rate measures the strength of the domestic currency. Gaano po ba kalakas ang piso? No? So if you will notice from the Pinoy administration, no, nasa 45 lang siya to 43. Doon lang siya naglalaro. And even the first year of the Duterte admin, 45. But all of a sudden, nag-stabilize siya sa 52. The highest, the currency, the Philippine peso went was 56 under President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. No? So the depreciation of the peso may be attributed to some deficits. No? Minsan may problema, minsan naman malakas ang dollar. No? So another reason why ang ating peso is nasa 52 per each dollar is during this time, no, si Trump ang president sa Amerika and the American economy was brilliant at that time. No? So now we don't know what will happen. No? There's a great feeling of uncertainty in the economy. Okay, so again, another assignment. No? These are all in the book. So do you know of a person or an organization that provided an economic forecast or discussed the economic outlook for the Philippines? No? Ano yung forecast ng tao na yun or organization? Do you agree with the forecast of that person or organization's forecast and bakit? No? Sinabi mong agree ako, why? No? If you're not agreeing, why not? Okay. So we still have 6 minutes. No? So here are the two main challenges in the Philippines, socio-economic challenges. No? Domestic and global. For those who have read the book, no, I hope na meron na po tayong mga books. No? So, for the global challenges, no, ito yung pinaka-main na kinatatakutan. No? But there are many more. And coincidentally, this is what's currently happening even now. No? Even though the book was published around 2018, no, at best, no, yung data niya, it's still happening. War and terrorism in the Middle East. Ano po ba masasabi natin dyan sa war na yan? No? Terrorism. Is it still relevant? No? Bakit po ba merong war in the Middle East? So let's discuss the first bullet, which is war and terrorism in the Middle East. Remember ISIS, no? Ito sila noong 2011. Does anybody have an idea kung paano nagsimula ang ISIS or ISIL or Daesh? Please do your research. No? Kasi medyo curious yung history. No? Medyo matindi yung plot twist kung bakit nagkaroon ng ISIS. So in short, no, ISIS, Islamic State in Syria, and I'm not sure kung ano yung isa. ISIS definition. Ayan, no? Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or the Levant. No? So parts of Syria and parts of Iraq are conquered by these people, no? Or terrorists. So nagkaroon ng bombing, no? Sa Paris. Ito, no, Paris 2015, no? And sa Brussels noong 2016. And sad to say, no, yung mga tinarget nila ay full of people, no, mga train stations and airports. So what do you have to do with these people? No? How do you negotiate with these people? Can you even negotiate with these people? They can attack anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Okay. Due to this, no, lalo na nung sinakop nila yung Syria at saka Iraq, no, nagkaroon tayo ng problem, no. Ayan, no. So even now, ISIS is still thriving. 10 years later, no, it's still on fire, no. So dahil dito sa ISIS na to, nagkaroon tayo ng Brexit, no. So please read the Brexit article, no? Or can someone share their thoughts or readings sa Brexit? Please do so. Ano po ba meron sa ating Brexit? No? Bakit? Usually ang alam natin is nagkaroon ng Brexit. No? But what is the root cause of this Brexit? Ito po. No? Ayaw. Yan, no? The Middle Eastern refugees from Europe. Nung sinakop ng ISIS yung lugar nila, no, sa Syria and sa Iraq, no? So they were forced to migrate, no, to go to the safe haven of Europe. And ayaw kasi ni UK, no? Ayaw ni UK tumanggap ng mga refugees. On the other hand, no, European Union would like to accept them. That's why it's one of the factors for the Brexit. So you see, no, after leaving the Brexit, okay naman yung growth ng Great Britain. Except for this, again, similar to the Philippines, nag-decline sila noong 2020, but now, nakabalik sila at 7.5. So, may impact ba yung Brexit sa UK? We don't know. For now, you may say, it's safe to assume na wala po. And yung ating favorite topic, no? Hot na hot. No? Fresh na fresh. Russia, UK, Ukraine, EU, NATO, and even the USA, no? Nakisali na po ang Amerika. No? In short, nagkaroon po tayo ng oil price hike na nararanasan po natin ngayon. Okay? So I think that is enough for the 1 hour. No? Before we end our lesson, no? For part 1, reflect upon. I would like you to reflect on it on your assignment. Given that globalization has drawbacks, should the Philippines strive to be a self-sufficient nation? Why or why not? Okay, kita naman na siguro. Okay. So again, no, for the part 2. Good morning, everyone. So our topic now is the domestic issues ng Pilipinas. But let's focus on the main task, yung pinaka-topics ng domestic issues. So let's first start with yung territorial dispute with China. Ano po ba yung masasabi ninyo sa territorial dispute ng China, no? Anong meron sa territorial dispute ng China? So ito kasi yun. Ito yung sinasabi nating tinatawag ni China na 9-dash line. Hindi na lang pinakita yung dash. Pero ito yung kiniklaim niya na sakop daw ng China. And one of the reasons na sinasakop niya yan ay nakapangalan daw siya as South China Sea. South China Sea raw itong kabuuan na to. So ang ginawa ng mga bansa, katulad natin, tinawag nating West Philippine Sea. Sa Malaysia, in their case, ang tawag naman nila rito ay North Malaysian Sea. Ganun lang yan. Or East Vietnam Sea. Ilang bansa ba nakikipagtalo? If I'm not mistaken, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and the Philippines, as well as China. I think pati Indonesia rin yata merong kino-contest na part. Yeah. So ano naman laban nitong apat na to? Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Philippines. Isiksik na natin si Indonesia, 5 versus China. So malaki yung population nila. So meron kasing leverage din si China sa ASEAN. No? So as you know, ito yung mga member state ng ASEAN. We have the Philippines, Laos, Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar. So far, may kapit si China dito sa dalawa, no? Myanmar and Cambodia. No? And even Laos, no? Meron din unti-unti. Meron siyang influence. But the rest are technically anti-China. No? Yung Pilipinas kasi nakikilaro lang. No? Keep your friends close nga, di ba? And your enemies closer. Both China and the Philippines filed at the International Court, no? Regarding the UNCLOS. No? So the UNCLOS, or the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. No? Pareho naman silang signatory, no? China and Philippines. Pero nung nanalo yung Philippines, inignore niya, no? Ginos niya, sin zone yung UNCLOS. No? At tinuloy niya pa yung mga pagtatayo ng structure sa mga disputed islands. Ayan, no? So balikan muna natin. So under the UNCLOS, the exclusive economic zone, no? Ibig sabihin, sa'yo lang yan. Provides the state or nation the exclusive rights. Exclusive to exploit the area economically within 200 nautical miles. No? So let's say, ito, no? Within 200 nautical miles. Kaya nga may konting overlap. Pwede siyang mag-capitalize dito sa area na to. No? Kung anumang resources meron. No? Yung EEZ, it extends beyond the territorial waters, which is 12 nautical miles from the coast. No? So lampas pa ng 12 miles. Ayan, no? So yun yung nagiging problema. Actually, no, itong South China Sea na to, no, yung mga Spratlys, no, Kalayaan Islands, whatever you want to call it, panahon pa ni panahon pa ni Cory Aquino to, no, meron na talagang problem, and maybe even before that, no. But at that time, China wasn't strong enough to compete with America kasi mahina pa China noon, and takot sila sa Amerika because we have the US bases, no, nandito sa Subic tsaka sa Clark. Pero after nang nawala sila, yun na, lumakas na yung Amerika. No? Another problem ng mga bansa, no, sa Southeast Asia is that they cannot fight China. And even America medyo takot sa China. No? So, the country does not presently have the capabilities. So yung mga nagsasabi dyan na girahin, no, ano naman laban natin? No? And kung manalo man tayo, no, for that minimal chance na manalo tayo, paano naman yung ekonomiya natin? So damay-damay, no, even yung mga ASEAN natin, nagkakaroon ng conflict, no. Itong tatlo, no, medyo kumakampi sa China. No? Parang extension ng China. And how about the ongoing war in Mindanao? Can someone tell me, ano ba yung scenario dyan sa Mindanao na yan? For those who have read the book. So 26 lang tayo. Mamaya mag-check ako na attendance. So itong giyera na to, panahon pa ni, actually panahon pa niya na yan, no? Ever since the independence noong 1946, meron na talagang separatist movement ang mga Muslim, no, sa Mindanao to separate from the Philippines. And they have a valid reason. No? Mindanao was not conquered by the Spaniards. No? Ang sumakop lang sa Mindanao is nung time ng Amerikano, no? Americans. So, hindi naman technically isang bansa daw ang Pilipinas. No? Well, there must be a point. No? Tama rin naman sila. Because wala naman talagang bansang Pilipinas up until the time of the Spanish colonization. No? The Philippines is a Thessalocracy before the colonial times. Ibig sabihin, kanya-kanya po sila ng teritoryo. No? And even now, no, ganun pa rin naman ang nangyayari sa ating gobyerno. Yes, we have a president. Yes, we have senators. Pero pag pumunta ka sa mga province, meron silang tinatawag na mga baluarte. No? Sila yung namumuno doon sa lugar na yun. Teritoryo nila yun. And Mindanao, no? Matagal na po itong giyera na to. No? We have yan, no? Ito yung regions ng Mindanao. Malaki po kasi ang Mindanao. Even during the American times, majority of the people in Mindanao were Muslims, no? Mga Muslim. Pero after ng independence in 1945, no, maraming dumayo sa Mindanao. No, particularly mga Cebuano, mga Bisaya, nagsilipatan sila sa Mindanao, and until such time na mas marami na yung Catholics or Christians compared to that of the Muslims. Naging minority sila. Okay? So the war between the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, hindi po milk, has been going on since the 1970s. No? Nakailang administrasyon na sila. Marcos, Aquino, Ramos, Erap. No? Munti ka na manalo si Erap, no? Pero na-impeach. Arroyo, Pinoy, and even nung kay Duterte, pero nagkaroon ng closure. So 6 administrations. No? According to the 2020 Global Terrorism Index, no, in our book it's around 2015 pa. No? Ranked number 10, no, sa GTI or Global Terrorism Index. So, pang-10 tayo sa pinaka-vulnerable sa terrorism. No? Munti ka na tayo sakupin ng ISIS on 2 occasions, sa Cebu, and then meron yung sa Marawi, di ba? Noong time ni Pinoy, sub 44. The GTI score is 7.099. So, ibig sabihin, on a scale of 1 to 10, no, nandun tayo sa 7 na pinaka-vulnerable. Yan, no? So, total deaths since 2001 due to terrorist attacks sa Pilipinas ay 3,448. And majority of them are from unknown. Deaths by group, unknown. No? Maraming napatay na NPA compared sa ISIS, no, or ISIL. Yung Abu Sayyaf, nandyan pa rin yan, but it's no longer that active. Okay? So, ang karamihan ng naka-target ng deaths is the government. Okay? Yeah. So, please read that Global Terrorism Index. In 2014, nagkaroon ng agreement ang Pilipinas saka the government, should I say, the government and the MILF, which is the Comprehensive Agreement on Bangsamoro or CAB. So, buhay pa si Pinoy dito, no? They had this signing, the historic signing, to put an end to the decades of war. It was one of the accomplishments of the Aquino administration. Pero, medyo bitin pa, no? Hindi pa na-plancha mabuti yung mga arrangements because kinulang pa ng Bangsamoro Basic Law, which was signed naman under President Duterte. No? As you can see, yung papel na hawak nila, propose pa lang. Propose Bangsamoro Basic Law. No? But it was approved around 2017. Nagkaroon tayo ng BARM, no? Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. So dito, hindi na masyadong nakikialam ang Pilipinas. Kaya nga po, autonomous. Yan. So ito yung update from the book. No? Kasi yung book hanggang dito lang yung book. So this one is our latest news from dun sa conflict, no? Ongoing war in Mindanao. No? And because of this, Bangsamoro Basic Law, no, there are advocates of federalism. No? In fact, one of the candidates is a member of the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. No? So kung manalo yung isa sa kanila, no, there is a chance that he or she, no, kung sino man siya, will propose that the Philippines undergo a federal government transformation. No? From yung usual natin, magiging federal. Okay. What do you think about the Philippines becoming a federal government? No? Kasi kayo yan eh. Generation yung makaka-experience ng federal government. Kami matatanda na kami by that time siguro. If ever maging federal republic ang Pilipinas, do you think it's for the better or for worse? Nahiya sila lahat, no? So magtatanong ako random. Miss Muñoz, no? Ano sa tingin mo pag naging federalismo ang Pilipinas? Will it do good to us? Hello. Hi. Huh? Ano kaya mangyayari? A lot of people have proposed this federalism type of government. No? Even way back, no? Even nung time pa ni Ramos, pinopropose na nila yung federalism law na yan. No? Magiging Federal Republic of the Philippines tayo. So sino ba rito sa inyo ang may mga relatives sa states, no? Sa US? Tate. No? May yaman sila lahat nasa Pilipinas. Okay. So bahala na. Bahala na kung ano mangyari sa inyo, no? Sa federalism. Kung siya mananalo, no? Hindi pa naman sure yan. These, how many nations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 nations ng ASEAN. No? Ang pinaka-top populations ay itong mga to, no? Itong apat. You have Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Now, I would like you to look at the figures ng population. No? So, nung hindi pa kayo pinapanganak, no, wala pa kayo dito, halos pare-pareho lang yung Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Kasi Indonesia masyadong malaki. So, malaki talaga yung population nila. Look at their populations, guys. 60 million. 57 million, 68. Pero bakit ganun, no? Magkakadikit lang sila, pero tingnan mo noong 2021, no? Ang laki ng nilobo ng Pilipinas, halos double. Naging 110 million tayo. Whereas sa Thailand, 69 million lang. Walang increase, masyado. And yung Vietnam, malaki rin naman yung increase, pero hindi kasing lala. In fact, na-overtaken natin ang Vietnam. Indonesia, malakas din mag-produce ng tao, 274. So it is estimated that by the time na kayo ay nasa 35, no, nasa edad nyo na ako, no? kaedad nyo na ako by 2040 because you're around 2005, 2006. So you might be 34, 35 by that time. The population of the Philippines is 136 million. Imagine that, mas marami pa tayong tao kaysa sa Japan. But look at this. Lumaki yung gap. No? Naging from 12 million, Philippines to Vietnam, naging almost 30 million. And look at Thailand. No? Masyado silang mahilig sa 69 million. Hindi na gumalaw. No? Wala nang movement ng population. So, bakit? No? Because possibly it's because of our Christian, if not Catholic faith, that life is essential. Life is important. No? So, kayo, no, balang araw, 136 million. Mas mahirap na po maghanap ng trabaho by that time. And that 136 million will experience poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Marami ka ng kalaban eh. No? So isipin mo, merong part na ganyan kayayaman, di ba? Forbes Park, no? Executive subdivision. But some of the other people, majority, ay dito nakatira. No? Sa squatters. Ako rin po, no? Diyan rin ako nakatira. Baka nandito lang yung bahay ko, no? Nakatago. No? Poverty is a huge problem. Not just in the Philippines, but all over the world. Yan, no? Close-up view ng poverty. No? Pero hindi lang halata, no? But some houses, no, meron silang mga washing machine, may aircon, no? Mas malaki pa yung flat screen nila na TV kaysa sa akin. No? Sa amin. Or sa inyo, for that matter. Kasi libre kuryente, jumper. So yan, no? You may read this in your asynchronous activity. Poverty among the basic sectors in the Philippines. Oh, yeah, no? Poverty also leads to this culture ng mga marites. But really, sa mahirap lang ba talaga mga marites? No? Even yung mga mayaman, no, ay susceptible sa marites. No? Pinaganda lang nila yung term, no? Grapevine. No? Pero meron pa rin mga chismosa. No? It's either chismosa or mga lasinggero sa kanto. It's another problem sa poverty. They do not have time, they do not have work. No? So they have all the time to make chismis, no? To make kwento-kwento in the kanto, di ba? Yung mga papasok sa Ateneo in Lasal dyan. No? And hindi po ito during the pandemic. No? So if you will notice, wala pa silang mga face mask. No? So ganyan karami ang tao na naghahanap ng trabaho. No? So that is one of your concerns as future employees or graduates. No? Gaano po kadali maghanap ng trabaho? Employment is a big underlying issue. No? Sinistante. No? Layoffs. No? Kaya some people are not even desiring to work anymore. No? Especially during pandemic, yung job security nawala. No? Most of our parents, no? I'm sure you can relate to this, have lost their jobs. No? Another problem for the Philippines is the agricultural industry. So, hindi tayo nakakapag-produce, no? Gusto ko sana magpa-mini-task pero try ko ulit hanapin yung video. I will do that for the mini-task if ever. No? Pero kung hindi ko makita, di wala. Next week na tayo mag-mini-task. So you have the agriculture and fisheries growth and productivity characterized as being weak. Bakit? Bakit sa tingin nyo mahina yung production natin sa agriculture? Kahit naman dito, makasagot lang kayo. magkamit. No? Bakit sa tingin mo yung mahina yung agrikultura natin? Yan kasi walang libro eh. Ewan. Punta kayo sa gera, walang baon. No? So, yun. Bago ako maasar. No? So, yung agriculture natin, no, mahina ang production kasi lagi tayong sinasalanta ng mga bagyo. No? Ganun din yung sa mga fishery natin. No? Lalo na ngayon, sinasakop tayo ng China. No? Remember yung West Philippine Sea crisis? No? Hindi na makapangisda yung mga mangingisda. No? Pag umabot sila doon sa quote-unquote teritoryo ng China, eh, pinababayaan. No? Tinatakot sila, babarilin. No? Yan. Force majeure. No? Ano ba yung definition ng force majeure? Hanapin nyo na lang. Sayang yung libro nyo. No? And the lack of capital. Kulang sa puhunan. Inadequate technology. No? Dito ka na lang siguro sa Southeast Asia. No? Or heck, even sa Philippines na lang, makakakita ka ng talagang magsasaka na nagtatanim. And last but not the least, kulang tayo sa research. No? The irony na nasa Pilipinas ang IRRI or International Rice Research Institute. Pero pagdating sa production, kulelat tayo. No? So sana yung mga binoboto natin na kandidato, no? Meron silang initiative to encourage research. No? Ang nagiging problema kasi natin, kopya-kopya lang tayo eh. Mahilig tayo mangopya. Gaya-gaya po tumaya. Kung ano sagot ng isa, no, sa research, yun na yun. Ayan, yung baha. No? So, flooding. Imagine this is a two-story building or one-story man lang. Umabot ng bubong. No? So, the bad thing is that pag bumabagyo, usually, malapit na yung anihan ng palay. No? Malapit na siyang gawing bigas. Tsaka naman bumabagyo. So, nasasayang. Laging abonado yung mga magsasaka, laging baon sa utang. Ayan, no? Basahin nyo na lang yan. No? Or just do some research. No? So, the problem with competitive business is marami tayong fee. No? Tawag nga na sa atin, Philippines. No? Yung mga negosyante. No? Ayan, no? Naulit na naman, lack of awareness in science, technology, and research. No? Kasi mga scientists natin kulang sa support. Naglalayasan sila, nagpupunta na lang sila sa ibang bansa. Nagkakaroon ng brain drain. Mismatch of skills. It's another problem. Production lag, kasi yung resources nga natin is scarce. Tapos hindi pa tayo marunong gumamit ng mga resources. No? Maraming monopoly, lalo na sa province. Dito sa Manila, hindi halata. But in the provinces, no, usually sila lang ang nagko-control. Ayan. Infrastructure, no, marami pa. Marami pang aayusin yung next president na infrastructure. Actually, hindi naman mauubos ang infrastructure. No? Marami po. No? Magtatayo ka ng buildings, ng roads, bridges, no? Dam. Maraming dams na kailangang itayo ang Pilipinas. And then you have to maintain some old structures. Energy. Lagi na lang tayo nawawalan ng kuryente. Rotating brownouts, lalo na sa probinsya. At ito, no, pinaka-main problem natin. Main problem natin is yung internet access. No? Napakamahal ng internet natin pero napakabagal. No? And why is that? No? Kasi the Philippines is an archipelago. No? Isipin mo, kada isla lalagyan mo ng internet connection. No? Hindi naman tayo katulad ng mga bansa sa Southeast Asia na peninsulares. No? I mean, isang homogeneous country, isang buong country. Ang Philippines at Indonesia, ang problem internet. No? So, health and quality of life. No? Yan din yung isa sa problema natin. No? Lumabas po yan lahat nung COVID-19 pandemic. No? Health, access to health services, COVID vaccines. No? So, nung last year, no, lahat kami galit, no, kasi matumal yung paglabas ng COVID vaccine. But now, no, I think na-meet naman na ng Pilipinas yung quota na 70% herd immunity. No? Ibig sabihin, lahat tayo naka-second dose man lang. So, okay na tayo. No? Kaya nga yung ibang school ay face-to-face, no? Limited face-to-face. No? So, sa kabilang school, no, pupunta na ako ng school, it will be a limited face-to-face. I will be able to interact with some students and then yung kalahati, naka-online. So, increasing rate of HIV infections. No? Hindi masyadong napapansin ngayon itong mga sexually transmitted disease. Third problem, limited spending for health. No? Konti lang yung budget ng gobyerno para sa kalusugan ng mga tao. No? Adequate shelter. No? Kulang sa pabahay. Dito sa Manila, nagpatayo si Isko ng mga condominium. No? So, I hope there in Pasig, Taguig, and even Pateros, no? And nearby cities like Marikina will also do their own part, no? For the poor. Ito yung pinakamasakit na issue, no? Teenage pregnancy and RH law. May 10 minutes pa naman. No? So, according to this study by Statista, dahil sa COVID, no, more than 500 million people ay maghihirap. And almost a quarter of a billion people ay manggagaling sa East Asia and Pacific. Ibig sabihin sa China, Japan, Korea, and even yung Southeast Asia, and even yung mga island, no, Pacific Islands will suffer poverty. So yan, no, dumating na yung mga vaccine. Lumang picture na yan. Yan, no, yung mga donation ng COVAX and yung Sinovac na. Now, for the hospitals, nagkakaroon naman ng mga improvements, no, but usually under the initiative na ng cities. No? Hindi ako masyado updated sa Pasig because I rarely go to Pasig and Taguig. Pero sa Manila, yes, significant improvement. And even sa Valenzuela, no, I'm always going to Valenzuela in handling some projects. Yes, no? Maganda yung kanilang healthcare system doon. Okay, so teenage pregnancy is, no, marami pong issue dyan. No? There are many root causes. No? Yun lang masasabi ko. So this one, no, halos kaedad nyo lang siya, no? Because this one is way back 2020. So I guess right now she's around 17 or 18. The problem is not yung teenage pregnancy itself, yung buhay, no? Because maraming susceptible nito sa mga mahihirap, no? Sa mga hindi kayang bumuhay ng bata, and yet there is the problem of teenage pregnancy. I'm not saying there is something wrong with teenage pregnancy, but what's the problem is yung ano yung kakainin ng bata, no? Paano mo bubuhayin yung bata at your age, no? For some, they can afford, but how about people who are, diba, yung sobrang hirap, no? Yung talagang salat sa kaperahan. And yung RH bill, no? So, wag na natin masyado i-discuss yan, baka mapagalitan ako ni Father, no? So, it was proposed during the time of Pinoy, but it was vetoed by the Roman Catholic Church as well as some lawmakers. I think they tried to amend it, but wala pong nangyari. I will leave it at that. And then for the education, kamusta naman yung K-12? I just read the research ng mga grade 12 students about the K-12 system. And modesty aside, I think the Philippines has the best K-12 or basic education program. Not just in Southeast Asia, probably in the entire world. So ito yung problem, lack of competent teachers. Marami pong kulang na teachers, lalo na sa probinsya. Minsan yung teacher, lahat ng subject siya may hawak, in some cases. So kung mahirap maging estudyante sa siyam na subject, 5 subject, try to imagine a teacher teaching all subjects. Diba? Sana all, no? Pero ayoko nung ganong sana all na yun. High student to teacher ratio. Here in Pasig Catholic College, medyo malaki na yung 40, 39 students. No? But, nung face-to-face pa, no? Usually sa public, 70. No? Mahina yung 70. Pumapalo pa minsan ng 100. And lack of facilities in classrooms. No? Usually sa public school. No? Sa private, kasi wala naman tayong problem. No? Medyo magrereklamo ka lang na hindi maganda yung facility, but may facility ka. But minsan sa public school, wala talagang facility. Kulang sa classroom. No? Sa probinsya, minsan makikita mo yung mga bata, doon na lang sila sa playground nagkaklase. Kasi kulang. No? So that is one of the problems. Yan, DepEd and CHED. They must work hand in hand, pero wala eh. Kanya-kanya sila minsan. So before World War II, ito naman talaga yung buhay, no? Grade 1 to 7. So ibig sabihin, 11 years ang basic ed. No? Sorry. Ang kindergarten kasi, hindi required sa public school. No? Pwede mo i-enroll yung bata ng 4 years old, pasok mo agad sa grade 1 in some cases. However, nagkaroon ng problem noong 1945. No? Binawasan ng 1 taon. No? So ito yung inabutan ko. No? Or majority of your profs, if not all of them. So grade 1 to grade 6, and then first year to fourth year high school, then college. So now, binago nila, no? You have grade 1 to grade 6, and then junior high, and then senior high. No? So Japan kasi iba yun. No? Ang junior high and senior high nila is 3 years each. But here in the Philippines, I think okay naman yung 2 years. No? Wala namang problem. Parang nagdagdag ka lang ng pre-college. Ayan, no? Sana, no? Next year, sana ganyan kayo. Makagraduate na kayo ng face-to-face. No? You may not want to see me, but I want to see you. No? Yun lang masasabi ko. No? Dumadami yung graduates. No? And dumadami rin yung estudyante. The problem with the pandemic, maraming huminto, maraming nag-transfer ng public school, which is not a bad thing. Maganda, maraming magagaling na public school. No? Ay maraming magagaling na public school students, but yung dami ng tao, yung dami ng estudyante, you cannot focus on them all. So sana next year, I get to see you dressing your toga. Eh, nakakamiss yung face-to-face, no? Sikip, no? Daming tao. And with that, tapos na po tayo. No?